As you guys know, not that long ago, I got the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I've been absolutely loving it. And once I got my hands on it and saw what it could do, one of the first things that I really wanted to make with it was a bicycle tour of my hometown to send to my father. I don't know if my dad's gonna get to visit me here in the new city that I'm living in, and so I wanted to show him what it looked like. And I thought that camera on a bike would be perfect. So this is what I rigged up. I've got a super clamp here with a Condor Blue little mini arm and the Osmo Pocket 3. And I thought, this is perfect. This is all I need. This is gonna give me that super smooth footage. Well, let me tell you, I was wrong. Here's what that footage looks like. As you can see, it is super jumpy and bouncy. Every little bump in the road is just vibrating through to the camera, and the camera looks like trash. And in fact, I even saw some videos saying, don't do this, you're gonna damage your camera. Probably should have watched those first. So I did some research to figure out what you could actually do to get the shots right. And it turns out that what you really need is a dampening arm. And there's one company that makes the one to get, and that's Tilta. So I reached out to my friends at Tilta and asked if they would send one of these over. It is the Alien Hydra Arm Mini that is made for the bicycle. It's actually, I think, the same one that goes on cars, just with a different mount. And this thing is a beautiful beast. So let's rig that thing up on here, and then we'll show you the side-by-side of the footage with it and without it. And then I'll go through a whole thing of how to actually configure it for your bicycle. What is this magic? What is this mad science? How is that image so perfectly steady? This is nuts. Okay, so I'm gonna connect my Osmo to the app. There we go. And so now I've got that view. Okay. I've got it all rigged up. The Osmo is connected to my phone. My phone's mounted on the handlebars here so I can see what the Osmo is getting, even control it a little bit if I want to. And I'm also shooting it a 50th of a second because I want that little slight motion blur. I've got my K&F Concept ND filter on here. We're gonna talk more about them in a little bit, and everything is ready to go. So let's get out of here and start our test ride. Safety first, always gotta wear your helmet. Start recording on the Osmo, and we're ready to go. Let's see what we can get. Seeing just how much this thing is bouncing around is absolutely incredible. All the footage you're seeing today is shot at a 50th of a second, even though we're in broad daylight. And this is really important to me. If you don't understand why, you should check out the previous video that I did on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, because in there I showed off the difference between having a filter and not having a filter on the camera. Without it, the footage is really stuttery, it's really sharp, it just doesn't look cinematic. I kind of hate to use that word, but it doesn't look the way it should. It's just too jumpy. It looks like iPhone footage when you want it to look like something a lot better. So the filters I'm using are, of course, the K&F Concept filters. They are sponsoring this video, and this pack right now is kind of the pack to get. Check this thing out. This has a ton of filters in it. You've got a variety of ND filters, plus you've got CPL plus ND filters. So if you want to have that perfect water, that perfect sky, you've got a CPL filter with an ND. There's a skylight filter in here, which if I don't have an ND on, so if I'm shooting in the dark, I definitely will leave that on there because it's kind of the only protection for the lens. There's also a Pro Mist style filter in here. There's a big bunch of filters in this collection. Obviously, I've linked to this down below. Huge thanks to K&F for sponsoring this video. These filters are killer. When I got the Osmo Pocket 3, this is the first thing I wanted to put on it were the filters. You have a total variety of pack of everything that you might need, and yeah, this is the pack to get. So with that, let's go check out some more footage from this Hydra Alien Mini by Tilta. Rigging up the Alien Hydra Mini is pretty easy. Let me show you how it works. Start off with the bracket that attaches to the handlebar. You want the post facing forward, and you also want to find the most horizontal part of your handlebar that you can to latch this onto. So just get that into place, lock it in tight. Its positioning doesn't matter a whole lot. I'd say face it a little bit forward, maybe at an angle, but it doesn't really matter that much. Now to attach the arm to the bracket, it's a Rosetta mount in there. Simply attaches to here and screws on. This can be tilted up and down. Don't worry about where you position it now. We will be adjusting it later. So just get it on there at an angle and you're good enough for now. This is the counterweight, which does need to be on here for working with the Osmo Pocket 3. I've already attached mine, as you saw. Just screws in, and that's all there is to that. This is the bracket that holds the camera. It comes fully assembled except for this piece here that needs to be screwed on. It screws on in this fashion, pointing up. And then to attach it, you simply find the NATO rail here, slide that in. There's a pin at the bottom of that rail, so this isn't going to fall out, but you do still lock that into place. Now you're ready to put the camera in. When the camera slides into place in here, you do want to make sure there's room to open and close the monitor. And you also want to make sure that the joystick is not hidden by this brace here. So we'll just slide that down a little bit and then tighten that down with this side screw. Now you do want the camera to be perpendicular to the ground. It's close, but it's not perfect here. So to adjust that, where the arm attaches to the bracket here, we just loosen that a little bit, move it up or down as needed, and that's looking pretty good. And then finally, in the resting position, you want this arm to be reasonably horizontal. There is a dampening screw here that you can loosen or tighten as needed so that when it bounces out, it ends up relatively flat. Mine came pretty well set right out of the box, and I think that's good enough, so I'm just gonna leave it there. The last thing is, where are you gonna put your phone? I already have a Peak Design phone mount that works perfectly for this, so I'll just put that back into place. And then the cool thing about this mount is I can mount my phone sideways on there, and now I can connect that wirelessly to the camera and preview whatever the camera sees from here and also make adjustments to it as needed while writing. This Tilta Hydra Alien Mini is insane. I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube about this thing mounted to cars, but almost nothing mounted to bikes, so that's why I wanted to do this, and as you saw, it looks incredible. The footage, the results speak for themselves. This thing is just a blast. It's easy to rig up, it's quick, it holds the camera safely, you can monitor everything from your phone. It's a win. If you're riding a bike and you want to get great footage with your Osmo Pocket 3, this is absolutely the way to do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm getting close to 100K, we need that. And don't forget to check out my sponsor, K&F Filters, because they do make an amazing filter set for this camera.